Okay, hi. Let me just remove all the cat hair from my hat. That would be impossible. So, okay, I am here today, right now. We're going to have some vagina conversations. Okay, if you're just tuning in, here's what happened today that sparked. I posted something. Hey, Molly. Oh, Molly, you are here for the vagina conversations. Okay. Today I had an appointment for a small procedure where it's called a colposcopy. Maybe I'm not pronouncing that right. It's like, like a colonoscopy is where they like go up your butt. This is with the vagina. So anyways, I had a procedure done today where the doctor, put this, I keep wanting to call it a telescope, microscope, all up in there and checked out the things. So, backstory. It has been normal for me to have bleeding or an inflamed cervix after intercourse for as long as I remember. Keith and I have been together for 13 years, as long as I remember. And so, yeah, not normal, guys, not normal. And so thankfully, I have gone to the doctor every year and a half. I have gotten like a pap test, which is not fun, but it wasn't nearly as bad as what I had to do with today. But it's really important for us to get that done because when things like that are happening with our body, it is so important for us to have these tests done to go and make sure that everything's okay with our body. And so from my experience, every time that I would go in, my doctor would say, you have some bleeding, your cervix is inflamed. She would always test. There were never any abnormal cells. Nothing ever came back. But this past time that I went in, thanks to Molly, who, if she is still listening, I noticed like an abnormal mole on like my labia because Molly was like helping me like get all down with my self-love. Anyway, different story. But it's important for us to talk about that too. So anyways, my doctor said, you know what? We want to get you in to see a gynecologist, have them look at this, do this thing, check this out. And so, yes. Okay. And so anyways, today I went in and the doctor was like very nice, very kind, but good Lord, was that uncomfortable. And so, she thankfully, and of course, my big worry with all of this was, okay, does, abnormal cells, this kind of thing, cervical cancer, right? And then I'm thinking like all those like HPV, like I should have got the vaccine, I'm like just all these things in my head, right? But anyways, and there are many people that I know that like have reached out to me online in this space that have had cervical cancer. Everybody's okay, that kind of thing. And I also know with myself, okay, I've gone in every year and a half. So like, let's say there is something that's serious. I'm looking after my health. I'm checking up on this, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, that was like my biggest fear. But I started doing this thing where like, I don't need to get myself all fucking anxious and worked up when there's nothing for me to get worked up about yet. So I did a really good job with that, and I'm really like proud. Go me. You're welcome, Molly. And so anyways, the doctor said that she didn't see anything that looked abnormal. She didn't see anything that she was worried about, just that it's bleeding. It's very sensitive. And I could see it was so weird and so cool because there was like a microscope and I could actually like see inside my vagina and I could see my cervix and I was like, what is that? But yeah, there was like some, I'm just really going to get into this. There was some darker blood, because, I'm just going to go there. Keith's never going to watch this anyways, whatevs. We had sex on like Friday and, so there was like some darker stuff left because that's older. And then there was some fresh stuff. And I'm like, why you gotta be there? Why you gotta be so sensitive? It's like my cervix is has a Cancer moon or something. It's just so sensitive. And so, right? If you guys know astrology, you get that reference. Anyways, I just opened up about this, and it's no coincidence that my appointment was an hour behind. I had to wait for an hour. And I'm reading this book called Witch, right? Big witch energy right now. It's Mabon. It is like we are into the fall equinox. Anyways, what she actually is speaking about in it is about how back, way back when, there was the witch trials and all of this stuff happened, that what it really was women. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. Mwah. Women were killed. Women were straight up killed for possessing magic. And what is a witch? I'll tell you. A witch, in my opinion, is a woman who is standing in her power, who is connected to her true self, who is connected to nature, who worships the cycles of nature, is in tune with them, is in tune with herself, but most importantly, a woman standing in her motherfucking power. Well, you bet your ass the patriarchy was fucking afraid of us, right? Like, yeah, they were. So anyone that was a witch, that was a healer, that was intuitive, that was wise, were killed. They were literally like millions of women all across the world that were wise and intuitive and could help heal others were straight up killed. But also what happened is women started turning on each other, which, as we all know, has carried on, but is making a shift. And so in that moment when I was like laying there with my feet up in the stirrups, feeling so uncomfortable, it's like the feelings, here's what everybody needs to know. I'm like, blah, 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 blah. Here's what everybody needs to know. The things that we carry, the feelings, the beliefs, the things that we have, especially for women, about not being enough, not being good enough, being overpowered by this strong masculine, this dark, negative, shitty masculine energy, that manifests in us physically. When we've been told to quiet our natural femininity, all of that stuff, it manifests in physical symptoms in our body. Do you think it's a coincidence that so many women now are suffering from reproductive organ issues? Issues like cervical cancer, unexplained infertility, all of that stuff. That is not a coincidence. And let me even tell you. Oh, thanks for the love. Let me even tell you. I have this book called The Secret Language of Your Body that I am absolutely obsessed with. And let me read this for you. I'm going to read some of the things. And this is just a side note that when I go through the list of women that I know that have struggled with infertility or miscarriages or like really bad cramping or just like serious issues with the digestive system, we all have daddy issues. And by daddy issues, I mean a masculine in our life that really fucked us up in whatever way. However, we have then continued to carry that belief and that fear of this masculine that was given to us. So this is what it says about cervical cancer. It says, out of flow with life, resisting your femininity, feeling disrespected as a woman, feeling unwanted, lacking in affection, sexually conflicted, feeling frustrated because of lack of commitment or attention in a relationship, feeling ignored, unimportant, useless, empty, and cheated. So again, cervical cancer, the way that it manifests in our body, where it comes from an emotional trauma, resisting our femininity, feeling disrespected as a woman. Well, no shit. Yeah, we are feeling that way. It's no wonder that cervical cancer is just suddenly on the rise, seemingly out of nowhere. We've been so fucking disrespected. Anyways, next, infertility. Cold energy around the womb, feeling rejected, abandoned, inadequate. Does anyone on here with daddy issues, who have been wounded or hurt or felt trauma from a male figure in their life, felt rejected, abandoned, or inadequate, yeah, your girl. And I know that when I think about a list of people in my mind, I know the same thing for myself. My dad took his own life when I was 3 years old. So from a very, very, very young age, I had the most important man in my life at that time abandon us. And then when my mom remarried, then that brought on a whole new bout of legit trauma, of feeling like rejected and inadequate, especially from him. And so I don't know if this is like, if you guys are feeling this, like, oh my God, yes. The next one, when I read for PMS, which is like having, all of the craziness that we are known for just before we have our period. Anger, confusion, anxiety, fear, self-doubt, holding back ideas because we believe they will be rejected, not being listened to, frustrated, impatient, annoyed, denying your feminine energy, wanting to be more masculine, to which you attribute strength and power. It is no fucking wonder we are having all of these issues with our reproductive organs, because over centuries and centuries and centuries, we've been told that our opinion doesn't matter. We have been told to be quiet. We have been made to feel that we are lesser as women. And I just think it's so wonderful and amazing how we're realizing this, how we're waking up, and we are all, as women, stepping into that power. And let me say something, that when I talk about all of this stuff, I know it sounds really like, it's very coming from a feminist point of view, but what I want you to understand is that it's my belief, and I don't know all the things about everything, like whatever, but when the idea of feminism and being a feminist first came up, I think it took like a real hard left, because a lot of it started being directed towards coming from a fear-based approach, whereas and that like really can turn a lot of people off, myself included. However, when I talk about all of this stuff, when I say I'm a feminist, when I say I believe in like that feminism is legit and that that's how I identify, what I want is for my approach to being a feminist to come from a space of love, to come from a place of love for myself, a space of love for all of the other women out there, but also for, we need to have that balance of feminine and masculine energy. The men or the masculine energy needs to be there to support us as we stand in our power. And thank goddess, I have an amazing man who is like here to do that for me and to be that for me and help guide me and support me and hold me and like be that masculine container that I need while I'm standing in my power and learning all this and navigating all of this. But what I truly believe is that the way for all of us, myself included, to overcome and heal these physical symptoms that we're having in the reproductive area, because it's not normal to have an inflamed cervix. It's not normal for sex to be painful or to be struggling with unexplained infertility. That is, just because it's common, it does not mean that it's normal. That didn't used to happen when things were more even. And so when we look inside of ourselves and when we say, okay, how can I heal the hurt that has been caused to me from a negative masculine energy? And it doesn't have to be, majority of the time for most of us, it is literally a male figure, but that doesn't mean that that's what it is. But the masculine energy that came in and told us and said to us, you're not good enough, you should be silenced, whatever. We are carrying those wounds physically in our body. So we need to fucking heal them, or we're going to keep on having the problems. And so at this point in time, Keith and I, we haven't yet started trying to have kids, so I don't know if fertility or infertility is going to be an issue for me. And it's definitely something that I worry about. And when I was younger, it used to like freak me out to think about it. But all that I can do now, and all that any of us can do now, is say, okay, if so many of these issues are caused by trauma, caused by a like masculine wounding, what can I do? What can I do to heal that? To help my body, the most feminine parts of my body, function and work the way that they are meant to. That's what we can do, because yes, we have Western medicine, but that can only do so much for us. So much of what we experience, what we feel is inside our bodies. It's energetic. And so healing trauma and healing those wounds, that's where we can go from. And when I was lying there on that table and I could like see, just like I could feel the physical pain in my body, but also that I could just see, like, you know, on the little, I keep wanting to call it a telescope, the little microscope, like just blood. It was like, I just knew that so much of what I am carrying is not just mine, but it's stuff that's been in my DNA, you know, in my DNA to be afraid, to feel like I'm not good enough, to feel abandoned, to feel left behind. That's been from, you know, my mom, my grandma, my great grandma, all the way down the line, because that's how it works. We don't just take on physical traits. If you think all you take on is the physical traits from the people that made you, you're sadly mistaken. We carry their trauma in our DNA. And so I'm done. I'm not going to pass it on. I'm not going to pass it on. I want to heal it. And so I know that for some of you, this might be like, what the fuck are you talking about, Steph? But I'm here to answer your questions about it. I mean, this is so much stuff that I'm just learning about too, but I'm just sharing with you what I feel, what I know. And what I know is that when I work on and heal a part of me and then I share it, it helps everyone heal. It helps the collective heal. It completes that circle, and it gives you permission to heal yourself by me sharing my story. And I'm in it. Like, I'm in it right now. I'm not healed. I am healing. I am forever healing and learning. But I want to share this with you guys because, again, there's a very, very good chance that if you've struggled with fertility issues or just like having issues with your reproductive organs, I feel like I dare you to tell me that you don't have like a masculine energy complex. And I don't mean that in like a disrespectful way, but that's where it all comes from. And so as one last effort, I'm just going to let you know, this is the book that I'm reading. It's called Witch by Lisa Lister. It is amazing. I'm halfway through it. And just any conversations about this kind of thing, I'm here for it. I am here to talk about it. And like I said, I don't know everything. I don't claim to know everything, but like any conversation that you want to have, I'm here to have it because I think it's important for us to talk about this stuff. Oh my God, yes, Rhonda. She says we all need to heal the repression that's been put on us over the last 200 plus years. Exactly. Because we're carrying it. It's in our DNA. We are carrying it from the repression that we've all felt as women, but now we're stepping into our power. But we have to make sure that as we step into our power, it means that we're doing it from a space of love, a space of honesty, a space of vulnerability. And like what I'm doing right now, coming on here and just sharing very openly and vulnerably about this. And I don't want to stand up here and, you know, say men are bad, men are evil, blah, 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 you know, all that stuff, because that's not the case. But the case is that we need to rise up in a positive, loving, feminine energy of like goodness, and encourage everyone around us to do that from a space of love. Because when we come from a space of love, it is then going to encourage the masculine energy around us, our husbands, our brothers, our you know, if you have children, the males in your life, they got to step the fuck up. They don't have a choice, because so many of us are waking the fuck up. They got to come along. And I've told this to my husband. I said, you know what? You don't have to believe what I believe. You don't have to do the things I do. You don't have to do yoga. You don't have to talk to dead people. But what you need to do is get on my train. I was like, you have to get on my train because the train is going. And then he was like, what? And I was like, well, I'm on your train. And he's like, oh, I have my own train. I'm like, yeah, you have your train and I have my train, but like I'm on yours and you got to get on mine, okay? Because we got to do this together and I need you to do this with me because this is what I meant to do in the world and I fucking need you to do it. Okay? I need you to do it with me, okay? So, that makes me so happy. Thank you. So anyways, here I am just sharing this after I left the appointment. I got in my car. I cried. I felt. If you haven't already read my post, go back and read it. They gave me this like big, gross pad to wear and I'm still wearing it. And because I'm bleeding because she stabbed me with all these swabs and took chunks out of my cervix because that's what has to happen in order, I guess, to figure all this out. So anyways, here I am, open, honest, vulnerable. My carrots are beeping. So I guess that's my signal. Yes, yeah, you have to get on my train. But also, then it's up to us to kind of help guide them. Because when I talk to Keith about things, he doesn't... My verbiage, I mean, you guys know, like, I'm like all mystical and like, I like that. And like, he doesn't always get my verbiage. And so I sometimes have to just think a bit so I can put it into words that he will kind of understand. Because me saying to him, like, you need to wake up. Like, he's like, well, what the fuck does that mean? What do you need me to do? And what it is that like, I need him to hold space for me. I need him to not be afraid of being vulnerable. I need him to, take ownership for his own feelings and his own thoughts. So it's not changing anything about who he is as a person. It's just changing the way that he looks at the world. That's all I need. That's all I need. That's what waking up means. Yes. And I mean, I don't blame them for being scared because we are very fucking powerful. However, yeah, it's up to us to teach this from a loving space, not from a fear-based space. And yes, getting on the trains together. So anyways, I gotta go like do something with my carrots. Thank you so much to everyone for wake the witches, for everyone for hopping on here, for listening, for being a part of this conversation. Again, like I said, my inboxes are getting filled. My, the comments on that post are like going on Instagram and on Facebook. And I'm like, it's obviously very, very, very important for us to have these conversations. So let's keep on having them. Any questions that you have, I'm fucking here for it. Like, let's heal the world together. Okay, let's heal the world. Let's heal our vagina areas. Let's just do it all together. We're here to change the world. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Love you guys. Bye.